Our third guest today is Abhijit Vijayvargiya, co-founder and CEO at Nectar.ai, where he is reimagining the future of B2B sales. Abhijit went through a seed to scale hypergrowth experience at Capillary Technologies, which is one of the earliest SaaS success stories from Asia. He was a board member and managing director for its APAC business and global accounts. While at Capillary, he specialized in creating global GTM growth strategy and execution, building and scaling high performing SaaS sales teams, and delivering hyper growth. In 2020, he started his new venture, Nectar.ai, where he is reimagining the future of B2B sales. The company is fully remote, venture funded, and is currently in stealth mode. He's a chemical engineer and an alumnus from IIT Kharagpur and spent the early part of his career in clean energy sector before moving to SaaS. He was ranked third in the top 80 emerging business leaders in Asia in the Portfolio Singapore magazine. Avijit is one of the most sought after SaaS sales leaders in Asia, an advisor to many startups, and an angel investor. Abhijit, welcome to this special show on extraordinary outcomes where we are focusing on the 5% conversion problem in B2B sales. I'm very happy that you could make time and join us today.
My pleasure here, Shubhanjan. This topic is very close to my heart, so I'm really looking forward to speaking with you today.
B2B lead to sales conversion, close conversion ranges anything between 1.8% to 8%. And this range is based on geography, industry, and so on and so forth. So what got us here, Abhijit?
I can talk more from a B2B SaaS perspective, because that's where I've spent most of my experience, right? So for SaaS, the funnel is not the traditional funnel. It's basically a bow tie. And if you include the post-sales part of it, which is launch, stabilize, and expand, it further gives a very poor reflection of like what the initial lead, the non-spam website visitor, or the initial contact you had from your database to like the revenue you eventually retained. So that further goes down, right? So a 2% actually is on the better side of it. I mean, it goes even further lower. I would say 2% would come down to like the closed one from a lead stage, but it goes further down as you get to renewals on the SaaS side. And in the last 5 years alone, uh, the spend in sales tools have gone up 3x, whereas the average quota attainment across B2B sales teams in SaaS industry has fallen by 40% year after year. I think the advent of internet, which you pointed out as well, has accelerated a lot of things, but it's also made a lot of things more complex. What you see today is a world which is very cluttered, digitally cluttered, a lot of noise and too few signals that exist. So whether you look at inbound or outbound, I mean, everybody is seeking out attention, right? So there's so much of noise that's being thrown out, both to sellers as well as to the buyers. It becomes very difficult to make sense of anything. Add to it automation. Like I think I would say the early part of SaaS industry from 2005 to 2015 was largely around driving automation, and there've been like a lot of success stories around automation. I mean, there are companies like UiPath which have hit like massive IPOs now. But what automation has done is it's also multiplied the problems which existed at a root level, right? So you automate, you start doing more of the same thing, and you do it faster. So the problem just gets multiplied. So we haven't solved for the context and personalization that's required in B2B sales, because it's all about somebody who is having a pain, a very deep unmet need, and you have a solution which can address that. And it's the right timing for them to consider that solution, which can really help them either save money or get more business. So you need a lot of context to understand that. That's where I think the value selling or consultative selling comes in. But unfortunately, when you bring in automation without solving for context and personalization, you have made your salespeople efficient by targeting a lot more people. But then what's happened is that they are getting targeted without any context, and everybody is getting bombarded left, right, and center with either a lot of content to consume from an inbound perspective, or a lot of cold call, emails, LinkedIn messages, etc. from an outbound perspective, which doesn't help anyone, right? Fundamentally, I think the sales team still go about pursuing sales as an art and not as a science. Data holds a lot of key, and leadership team uses a lot of data. I think even in conventional industries, at the top level, decision making still happens through a lot of data analysis. And even in B2B SaaS, it's true, right? I mean, leadership team uses a lot of data to take decisions. But that data driven mindset or approach doesn't go down the route or doesn't go cross functionally. So both horizontal as well as the vertical depth is not there in terms of using data. Other thing that I've also personally experienced and I've also seen in a lot of other sales teams I advise and startups I help is there is this founder driven sales process or the initial core team which has sold the product. They do it pretty well. Their conversion rates are very good, right? I mean, they'll convert almost every customer conversations because they're very contextualized. But as they graduate from a founder led or an initial rockstar driven sales process to a predictable sales engine, or a SaaS sales flywheel, as we call it, a lot of systems fail and a lot of startups start experiencing lower conversion rates, which means that the playbooks that worked before, either they're not useful now, which is not the case because playbooks have proven themselves through iteration of product market fit. But what then it means is they are not being operationalized at scale so that everybody else in the organization follows it. So as you are expanding very fast, hiring more salespeople, hiring more marketing people, hiring more customer success people, how do you get everybody in the go-to-market team to follow your best sales playbook that's really helped you in the early days? And what I've seen typically then happening is most of the B2B SaaS like has a lot of venture funding, a lot of VC interest. So you have a lot of capital that you throw at the problem. So you will hire a lot of salespeople, you will force the growth, but then you'll not still fix the problem of your funnel, which basically is not solving for the root cause where you could probably do a bit of enablement and coaching, but instead of investing there, you're still doing a lot of hiring and firing a lot of people. And I made that mistake personally as well. So I can speak from experience, and I've seen a lot of other companies do that. And that results into another big pain point where your conversion rates don't improve, but then you throw more volume at it. That so then your effectiveness and efficiency in terms of your cost of acquisition of customer, etc., goes down, right? And you brought a very interesting point as well, which is around buyers being at a very different place, right? I mean, and that's happening, right? I mean, by the time your salesperson gets in front of the customer and starts asking those discovery questions, the buyer would have already evaluated three competitors, seen YouTube videos, attended webinars, and would be at a very different place in terms of their expectation from that discussion. And it most often leads into a big disappointment from both the sides, where the seller is at a very different stage in terms of their sales process because they are following it, and the buyer is at a very different stage on the buying cycle where they are expecting something very different from the conversation. Everybody's focused on what's my immediate low hanging fruit, which deals I can close to get my numbers this month, this quarter, right? But are they looking at what do I need to do today to meet my next quarter? What's the pipeline I need to give? Do I have the enough sufficient pipeline cover? Do I have the right use cases identified, which I can go into a sales meeting with and be able to place them in front of my buyer and get them better conviction, and things like those, right? So none of those things happen, right? If you look at coaching in general, which is very important in sales, how much time a manager spends with a salesperson in coaching? It's probably less than 30 minutes a week, and that also goes into pipeline inspection and forecasting, or probably like one or two deal reviews, but not in like coaching and developing the rep. So the problem becomes even more paramount with mid market, where they have different challenges to navigate. But obviously, I mean, they have the advantage of moving faster compared to bigger enterprises where things are pretty slow while they might have more resources. Yeah.
What are the fundamental changes that you think are required to fix this scenario?
So, in fact, I actually started a company to do this, where we are reimagining the future of B2B sales. I got really passionate about this whole pain point around quota attainment, which is probably resultant of the broken funnel and various other things we spoke about. to that extent that I really wanted to go ahead and do something about it. So rolled up my sleeves, became an entrepreneur, and started Nectar.ai last year to really focus on thinking afresh on what could be the future of sales should be, and how do we reimagine that new future. So how do you connect the dots? I believe that's the big pain point, which I think is largely broken. I mean, most CRMs, if you look at, they're all built as systems of record 20, 30 years back. There are so many data points that are getting generated, which I think most of the traditional tools, softwares, and processes not even imagine that would exist. Who would have thought even 5 years back that there'll be a video interaction that could be recorded between a buyer and seller? But fundamentally, I think everything connects back to data, and data is increasingly more important as digital transformation happens. A lot of digital data is getting generated, but it is creating a lot of silos, and it's not getting captured properly anywhere, right? Where CRM is supposed to hold a lot of this data, but CRM tables are not even equipped to hold all of this data. So how do you solve for it, right? So that's where I think organizations have started looking at customer data platforms to create a single data lake or single view of their customer, single view of their buyer, and things like those, which again is going through a lot of transformation. So it's exciting time because we're living in the age of digital data. So that needs to be in your roadmap as an organization, that how do you capture the data that's getting generated across your revenue function internally and externally, and then how do you bring that data together, and then once you have that data captured, how do you analyze that data to drive intelligence across your organization and drive visibility, because it's very important. And if you have that visibility, it creates accountability. If there is an accountability, you prioritize actions which are important to hit those common goals, and which is what will probably drive a lot of productivity and improve conversion rates. It will fix a lot of root cause as well. And another thing that companies need to do, apart from looking at data and breaking the digital data silos, is aligning teams, right? And again, that brings back to the point of collaboration. So not just collaboration between buyer and seller, which is also a very interesting area and a lot of action happening there, but also internal collaboration that's required in the go-to-market team. How do you align sales and marketing? How do you align sales and customer success? And again, my answer is very pertinent to B2B SaaS. So how do you have shared KPIs? How do their comp plans look like? What do they get compensated against? What are like standard SLAs or turnaround commitments that they have between each other, right? If marketing has generated a lead, how do you ensure that sales team does the research and contextually follows up on it? How do you ensure that the SDR has done a good discovery call? How do you ensure that customer success is getting the right handover from salesperson and they've brought in the right customer and not a customer which they struggle to implement later because it was not an ideal customer profile, right? So a lot of collaboration is required, and how do you align those? So that's very important. Then add to it enablement in general. How do you create enablement programs, right? I think sales enablement as a designation, sales enablement manager or director, there are a lot of designations out there. But if you look up on LinkedIn and look a pattern from 2015 to 2021, there's significant amount of growth with respect to that title. So one of the best place to be in terms of hiring and job opportunity is be in sales enablement or revenue operations. A lot of hiring happening, and for the right reasons, because organizations are understanding the importance of enablement, right? So how do you operations will help you like tie the data together, improve collaboration, and enablement will help you onboard, ramp, and coach your teams better, right? So invest in enablement, invest in operations. I think it's very important. And finally, take the guesswork out of the equation, right? I mean, I think you need that art and personal flair in closing deals, but I think the buyers are also moving towards, they're more educated, more informed, they're more aware about their pain points and the possible solutions out there. So they don't need like a salesperson who's whining and dining with them, but they need a salesperson who's solving their problem and who cares about their problem.
Absolutely. That's great. I think this was a great sum up, and I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
revisit this.
definitely.
Thank you, Abhijit.
Thanks again for having me on the show, Swanjan.